everybody. How you doing today? We are back with another conversation with a professional who is near and dear to my heart. He's actually become a friend of mine, and he is also one of our trusted experts. His name is Alex Corrente. He is a financial advisor with Northwestern Mutual. Alex, thank you for being with us today.
Wouldn't be anywhere else.
Awesome. So one of the things that I love about Alex is that he is so supremely kid focused. He has a family of his own. And ever since I met him, he's just got a passion for working with young adults, with young families, with kids. And so when I said to him, hey, Alex, we've got this Empowerthon event going on. By the way, I didn't even mention Empowerthon, which this is a part of, is the inaugural fundraiser for the ParenTween Foundation. The ParenTween Foundation is the nonprofit division of the ParenTween Connection. ParenTween Connection, we connect families to each other and to professionals like Alex who can help them navigate life with teens and tweens. And the foundation helps us to bridge the financial gap that often exists between families and professionals. So thank you, Alex, for sharing your time and your knowledge today.
No, I appreciate it. This is just a good way to satisfy that itch I have in my job, where just trying to be as much of a resource as I can for as many people as possible.
Absolutely. And speaking of being a resource, we are streaming live to our Facebook group, to our LinkedIn page, and to our YouTube channel. So if you're tuning in, if you have personal questions, you can absolutely reach out to Alex directly. All of his contact information is in the description of the events. But if you're in our Facebook group, you can also ask questions as we go. Although he did clarify beforehand, he can't actually give personalized advice. Like legally, he cannot give personalized advice in a group environment like this. So if there is something that comes up that is particular to your circumstance, I know that you're available to help, Alex.
Yeah. It's kind of like a doctor-patient relationship, except doctors go to a lot more school than I had to go to. So I do have to be careful in that regard. But
Sure.
If anyone does have any personal questions in their own situation, I'll be more than happy to reach out, post this conversation, and see if I can make myself helpful.
Absolutely. So we are talking about how to teach your teens about money, how to teach them how to invest. Now, I really like the fact, Alex, that you wanted to focus on investing, because so many adults don't even understand the ins and the outs. You know, they might get the basics of like, okay, we need to have a budget. We need to teach our kid how to budget. We need to teach our kid about taxes. And like, if you make $15 an hour, that doesn't mean you take home $15 an hour, like those types of things. But oftentimes that's where many adults' capacity ends. And that's not a statement of judgment. It's a statement of fact, right? So if so many of us as adults are working to provide better opportunities for the kids that we love, I think investing is a critical component of that process.
100%. So my practice, and really how I live my life, I live it by KISS. Keep it simple. So there's a lot of steps we can go through as adults, as teens, teaching our teens when it comes to the power of money and time within that, what they should be doing. Keeping it simple. The way I like to explain to everyone what saving actually looks like, because what everyone wants to save for is the big R word, one day having a retirement.
Yep.
There's really, in my mind, 30% of your money, 30% of your yearly income should disappear. Invested, diversified, put somewhere. It just doesn't exist anymore. Why? 30% is roughly the number where if you want to have your ideal retirement, you're done. You don't have to worry about money in your golden years. You don't have to downgrade your lifestyle. You want the perfect dream retirement. That's what you're really going to need to be able to do. 20%, you're going to have to downgrade most likely. You'll still be able to retire, but you might have to sell a home if you have it. You might not be
I'm going to interject. That's if 20% of your salary goes to retirement, not 30%.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. I just lost the train of thought for a second, and I figured if I did, others might have too. So I just wanted to get myself on the right track.
Yeah. If you do 20%, you might have to do a downgrade. Retirement's still potentially an option, but there's probably going to be a downgrade in lifestyle. If you do just 10% throughout your life, you're going to most likely need to have some kind of part-time job in retirement. Greeter at Walmart's the classic cliche example.
Yep.
But something where you're going to have to supplement your income for the rest of your life. And then the obvious one, if you do 0%, you're going to be working until you keel over. My goal is to get people as close to that 30% as possible throughout their entirety of their lives. Now, here's the real problem. If you wait and you hold off and you don't start until your late 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, that 30% could turn into 50, 60, 70% because now you've lost your runway. All that time is now gone. So overall, that's the philosophy when it comes to savings and investing. Overall, what you should be aiming towards.
Okay, so I'm going to interject for a second. A lot of our families, in ParenTween Connection and just across America and internationally, kids can start working at 14, 15, 16 years old, right? When do you recommend, and I'm going to guess I know the answer to this, but when do you recommend that they start this practice? And when do you recommend that they start working with somebody like you?
So, recommend working with a financial advisor. Find one that you have a good fit with as soon as you possibly can.
Okay.
Not every financial advisor is going to be good for everyone.
Sure.
Because it's literally just a relationship-based business. So find one that you communicate well with, find one that you have a good rapport with as soon as you possibly can. Is 14 too early? Most likely you'll still be with your parents, but when you finally break out on your own, find someone that you can have that trusted relationship with. When it comes to just saving, as soon as humanly possible. Why? Because then it becomes habit.
Yep, absolutely.
Versus sacrifice. Financial wellness is just like physical wellness. Your lovely man, Joe, he's going to say the same thing. If you want to get in shape, you want to get in great shape, you go Monday through Friday and you're in the gym and you're doing your thing and you have a great diet, and then you hit the weekend and you lose your ever-loving mind. You consume everything that comes across you. You're having bagels and donuts and pasta and all that all day. All that work you just put in is less.
Man, why you gotta out me like that?
I'm Italian, so
you get it.
I know the pain. I know the pain.
Right.
But it's just that consistency. The longer you're able to be consistent, the more healthy you're going to be.
Absolutely. So we start with savings as soon as possible. And I mean, really, truly, if we can get them saving early on, by and large, many kids, and this is obviously not everybody, there are absolutely kids that are going to work to contribute to the family out of pure and utter necessity, right? And there are times where it's like, look, taking 30% out just isn't an option. But then if we've also got those kids who are like, we're doing this for our own stuff. Like, I'm doing it because mom or dad takes care of all the basics and this is my play money. It's my fun money. That's an ideal situation to get them set up to do that, right?
100%. And the number I like to go and plan with anyone I talk to, find a number that is two things. It has to be meaningful, but doable, and stick to it. What does that mean? Clarissa, if I talk to you and I told you need to start saving $5 a month going forward the rest of your life, $5 a month is pretty doable, but in the long term, that number is just not going to be meaningful.
Right.
It's really not going to make a big difference. Now, if I said, Clarissa, we're going to save $500,000 per month, that'd be pretty meaningful, right?
Yeah.
Now,
but it's not possible.
I can't make any assumptions. I don't know if that would be doable, especially for most people.
Not for the vast majority of us.
Exactly. So find whatever that number is. And it's not necessarily how big the number is or what situation you are now. It's just finding that number and just sticking to it. Because that number also will make you feel a bit uncomfortable. Saving isn't fun. Right. Saving sucks. Spending money is great.
Yeah, it is.
I've met every single person I talk to, somehow they're all great spenders. All of them.
Indeed.
Saving is a sacrifice. And the quicker as an individual, especially as a teen, you're able to build that callus up when it comes to saving and not compromising with that, you're just setting yourself up with future habits that are going to benefit you.
Awesome. All right. So we've got savings, but let's be honest, we're not getting much yield in a good old savings bank. Like I just got an update from my bank account today that they've increased my annual interest rate. And it was like, 50%, 0.5% or something, which I mean, we're going to take, right? But 2%, 3%, that doesn't grow very quickly, right? And so the whole concept behind investing is that we're putting money into places so that it doesn't just accumulate, but it grows in and of itself, right?
Yep.
Based on where we put the money. So to your point of keep it simple, we've got savings. The next step is investing. What are like the basics that a teenager needs to understand about how to get started with investing?
So when it comes to investing, first, need to be really clear. No teen should just put all their money into investing. No person should do that, let alone teen. So you mentioned having safe money, having that bank account going open. That's really step one, is get a teen. If they don't have it, get your teen a checking and a savings account. That's step one. Their checking account is going to be for their bills, their fun money, and their savings account you can start treating as the nest egg fund. Once that's built and going, then investing can start being talked about. For a teen to start investing, you can go one of two ways. Either A, you can talk to someone like me, or B, you can do it on your own. There's pros and cons to both.
Sure. Doing
it yourself, you have the freedom. You can do whatever. You can do it whenever you want. You can have the complete autonomy over it. The con, you might not know what you don't know. And also, time. You might lose bad timing. You might not be able to take advantage of just overall the day. And a lot of teens and a lot of people, when it comes to investing, they go to day trading. That's what they think of. They think of the stock exchange, the cliche thing where everyone's screaming and yelling and there's papers flying in the air and the babies are getting thrown in the air and everyone's freaking out.
Right.
That's not the investing that yields long-term, consistent return.
Sure.
What you want to look into with investing is getting that strategy of month in, month out, putting the same amount of money or more, depending if the budget increases, into something that'll have long-term yield results.
Sure.
Con of that is the market itself. I don't know who's watching, but Clarissa, for yourself, do you know what the stock market did last year?
It kind of like went a little bit cray-cray.
Down 25%.
Yeah.
Great year. If you're investing, how's that going to make you feel?
Well, if I just lost 25% of all of my money, I'm not going to be terribly thrilled.
Go ahead if you can. Can you pull up that Morningstar report?
Sure thing.
Because I want to show anyone that's going to watch this the time value of money and how you need to handle those down moments when it comes to investing. So if you could scroll down and you can get out of the bookmarks on the left to make it pop a little bit bigger. Boom.
Okay.
Keep going. And right there, that first chart. Up a little bit more. A little bit more. The next page up.
Oh, sorry.
You're good. And below the line graph, the actual numbers. We'll be able to start breaking it down.
Okay.
Perfect. Right there. So this is an example of what consistency looks like when it comes to investing. So this is a complete hypothetical portfolio. Again, I can't show someone's actual portfolio. This is fully hypothetical. Sure. But these numbers are actual market-based numbers over the past, not the past 20 years, but from 2000 to 2020. Every year in this, you'll put $10,000 into investing. No, okay. I don't want to go into what it's invested in, get into the minutia and the really fine details, but that's the concept with investing. You're doing the same amount of money per year, in year out.
Okay.
A lot of teens weren't alive at the turn of the century.
Correct.
So they're not going to know what was going on in year 2000. But for my old ass, pardon, and for you, Clarissa, your young self, remember what happened in 2000, 2001, 2002 globally? What was going on?
Oh, well, first of all, we thought the world was going to end when we switched from 1999 to 2000. So we literally thought the world was going to explode.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 01, we had this fantastic event, not called 9/11. And I've kind of blocked a lot of the rest of it out, but is that enough to demonstrate that it was just really not happy?
Yep. And in 2002, we entered in the war in Afghanistan.
Yep, that's right.
So 3 years in a row, and just 3 years in a row overall of things completely out of the control of anyone.
Mm-hmm.
3 years in a row, the market went down.
Right.
So each of those years, $10,000 in. By the end of 2002, this person had put $30,000 into the stock market.
Right.
Their overall value was less than $25,000. They had lost over $5,000.
Right.
I don't know about you, but for someone that didn't know, if I gave you 30 grand and I got back 25 grand, I'm going to be pretty ticked off.
Yep. Absolutely.
The following year, same 10 grand goes in, market skyrockets up.
Right. It went up by almost 30%.
Exactly. Now you're up 4,000. What is the importance of that? It shows if you're patient and consistent, the stock market and the markets in general over a long enough period of time will always go up.
Yep.
Year to year, you're going to see ups, downs. You're going to see a lot of fluctuations. Even a 3 to 5 year period, you might see some fluctuations.
Mm-hmm.
There's never been a recorded decade in history of the United States and stock in general where you'll see a total decade average go down.
Gotcha. So that's really good to know, because like if you start investing at 18 or 19, then by the time you hit 30, if you're consistent with putting the money in on the grand picture, you will end up with more than what you've put in.
100%.
Okay.
100%. Now, the really, really key one I need to show. When I went to college, I had a finance degree. My teachers learned all about the Great Depression. Mm-hmm. That's what they based their almost entire curriculum around. I was taught the Great Recession. It was the perfect time for that. Well, maybe perfect time's not the way to put that, but it was really good timing.
Right.
In the Great Recession, the market at its worst went down 50%, essentially. Mm-hmm. It ended the year down 35%. Right. The housing market burst. Everything went to hell.
Yep.
People had, on average in this, would have had about $125,000 saved away through investment.
Right.
They woke up with half gone.
If you're not crying in your Cheerios about that, I don't know what's going to make you.
Unfortunately, a good portion of the population were already retired, and a lot of their assets were just gone. They had no way to just wait it out. So those people, unfortunately, if they were not diversified and they were solely relying on their investments, they were cooked. It was a devastating time for the retiree community overall.
Yeah. Yep.
However, a lot more people were not retired at that point, but they panicked. They sold out of the markets entirely. They were being told incorrectly, the market's going to completely crash. We're going to lose 100% of everything. Yeah. If they had waited just one full year.
Yep. Went back up by 35%, didn't it?
It was a full recovery.
Yep.
So
Go ahead.
When I talk to teens and they start asking questions about investing and they start asking questions about what does it look like, I keep it simple. Put what you can in and just be patient. Mm-hmm. If you scroll down to the bottom, through all of it, through all the craziness that happened in the 2000s to 2010, we had a small hiccup in 2018, the trade war. If you would put $10,000 away for these 20 years consistently, that's $200,000. You end with $444,000.
Yeah. Oh, down here. Yeah. Wow.
So
that's pretty compelling, right? Like it's more than double.
Yeah. So investing overall with a teen and really explaining what the value of your money is, it's just the value of time. Teens, you have so much more time than most of your parents probably had if they didn't know about this stuff. that versus your compatriots, if you just take advantage of that time as much as you can, you're going to be better off.
Absolutely. That makes total sense.
All
right. So we start out, number one, encouraging our kids to save. Encourage them to put away a third of what they're bringing home to build that habit, build that callus so that it becomes less terrifying. Then once they've got savings, right? Because there's an aspect too that I think it would make sense to talk about liquid and not liquid, right? Like you put money into this, liquid means available, right? So when you were saying like start with the savings, it's because that's for kids, it's a good first step. But also my understanding is that you never want to have all of your money in an investment like this where there's time or cost to take it out of an investment, right? So, and this is where I know it gets super specific based on individual goals. How much do you keep liquid? How much do you put into a diversified plan or something like that? But, we're not even telling our kids that they have to invest everything or that they have to save everything. Like invest a third. And then you've got money for play and you've got money to pay for books or to go to the movies or do those things. It's not, we're not saying just put everything away and don't have any fun and don't live now, but don't live now to the exclusion of thinking about down the road.
100%. Whenever I go through, a lot of people want to talk to me about budgeting and they want to talk to me about how should I spend my money? What should I spend my money on? Whatever you want. Because a lot of people, they confuse what a budget should be. They go through rent, mortgage, car payment, insurance, cell phone, internet bill, the really obvious ones.
Right.
In that budget, they don't count getting that Grubhub order maybe once a week. Or it's been a packed week twice a week. They don't count, hey, my kid did awesome at something. I'm going to spoil my kids a little bit. My son, he's 3, so I'm not in the teen years yet.
It's okay.
When my kid is being good and he's getting all gold stars at school, we go to the store, get him a toy. Nothing expensive, but after a while, this stuff adds up.
Sure it does.
A budget needs to also include, you literally mentioned it, that fun money.
Right.
Because I can't control that. As a financial advisor, I can't tell you what to buy. I can't tell you what to spend. It has to come down to you.
Right. Well, and so then there's also an aspect. I know one of the points that you wanted to make was supporting families with special needs and whatnot. And I want to get there, but I also want to make a point, and this is something that I've actually navigated personally, as well as with families that I've engaged in my own career with. When you've got a kid, like the advice that we've got here, like all the traditional advice, the budgeting, like you're talking about, and even the, putting away 30%, this, that, and the other thing. If you've got kids who deal with neurodivergencies and you don't, one of the biggest things I'd love to encourage you to do is seek out the counsel of somebody like Alex, but also an executive functioning coach. Because, for example, for a kiddo with ADHD, money on a screen is abstract. Money in hand, like cash, is concrete. So one of the things, the pieces of advice that I've heard over the years is if you deal with ADD or ADHD, as an example, it's more effective if you know that your budget is $100 a week of fun money to literally take $100 in cash. And maybe you're going to divvy it up and you're going to spend $10 Monday through Friday. And then that gives you $25 on Saturday and Sunday. Like if we just give them a card, like a debit card, yes, there's value to that. Or, if they're a signer on your credit card, whatever, that's fine. There's value to be gained there. But if your kid is showing, I see a lot of conversations like this in our group and in other parenting groups. My kid is so irresponsible with money. Well, when you give them a card and they don't necessarily see the impact, they don't understand that their $15 an hour job, that they actually only take home $12 an hour and they just spent $100, how many hours it takes to get there. Like it's easier to teach those with cash is my point.
Yes. And everything you said, I agree with. My biggest other advice for teens and parents that want to help them is just be involved. As cliche as that sounds, have them be an authorized user potentially on a credit card that you already have, and show them this is what the charges are. This is what the interest rate looks like. Because it's all in the app, right? You'll be able to see this is what my APR is going to be. And then that way also your teen's going to be able to start building up credit. Or you can teach them not a hard lesson, but you can have them kind of stumble. That's the way I learned as a teen. I'll be honest.
Yeah, that's the way I learned.
My parents, what they did was I got a really basic Discover card with like I think I had a $200 limit.
Yep. I
maxed it out.
Yep.
And my parents sat me down and they talked to me about it. And then going forward, I paid it off. I had a job, so I had the money, but I maxed it out. What we would do from then on is anytime I needed gas, or if my parents needed gas, we would go to the store together, and my parents would literally grab my card, swipe it, and they would go home and give me the money. They wanted to be fair and tell me pay it off. And I'd ask why. My mom and dad both went because we're helping build your credit. So essentially what happened within, I think it was 3 months, it was over 10 years ago, and I'm old. My limit shot up. They immediately just threw $2,000 at me after 3 months because I was just now consistently paying it off weekly. It was just gone.
Yep.
So that's a really great starting learning skill that your teen can teach. And also, if they do get a checking or savings account, as a parent, stay on there as a user. Just check it once in a while and make sure that they are being responsible. Not as a helicopter parent where you need to tell them constantly, I'm going to go check the checking account. Just give them a little bit of accountability. Trust them to make their mistakes. And you'll be surprised what your teens can do with money.
Well, and yesterday we had a guest speaking with us as part of Empowerathon, who is the co-author of a book called Miracle Morning for Families. And we talked about having family meetings. And, you know, they always start with a bit of gratitude and what were the high points of the week and what are the family goals and whatnot. And it strikes me that this could be a conversation for a family meeting, either once a week, once a month, something where, you know, and some families, like the parents, don't want to share their finances with the kids, and that's fine. That's personal preference. But at least, you know, having a check-in once a month on like, hey, what's your savings account doing? Look, you put this much money in, and this is what your interest got you in the last month. Look at that. You got free money. And just teaching them in small steps like that. I mean, I see that you could even do that, you know, if grandma and grandpa send money for birthdays or Christmas or whatever, you know, we can have those same kinds of conversations where, like, if grandma sends you $25, 10 of it's going to go in savings, and let's see how much that's worth next month. You know, and start with those ideas.
And I know this is all just exceptionally basic, and I wish I could get a little bit more granular here. I cannot. So if anyone is interested, even if it is just an educational moment, reach out, call, email. I'll be more than happy to walk you through a little deeper into the woods here on how you can actually start taking advantage of these things going forward.
Absolutely. All right. So let's wrap it up with a conversation about special needs families.
So my personal story, keeping it, you know, fairly brief. My brother has microcephaly. And when he was born, the doctors let my parents know that he would be dead within a year or a vegetable and live till about age 8. He's now 28. He's a moose, but he is going to be dependent on my family for the rest of his life, however long that is. Once my parents are unable to take care of him, because what happens when you get older, you get a little slower.
Right.
He then will be under my roof for hopefully the rest of my foreseeable time.
Right.
With special needs families, the financial constraints get so much different. So for me, one of the passions I have in life is reaching out and speaking and working with special needs families, kids, teens, adults, whatever, and just making sure there's a legacy plan put in place, covering the trust, going over the documentation and everything that's going on, and making sure either A, we are taking advantage of everything we can be, or if we haven't been able to put anything in place, get the process started to take care of that particular family member. My goal is never rely on the government to help them.
Well, because as we've seen, things shift. whatever side of the aisle we're on here in the US anyway. And I know that your licensure allows you to work with folks here in the US. You do not have international licensure, correct?
I do not. I can give advice for Canadian. I am Canadian born, but I cannot work directly with Canadians. It is the 50 US states.
Got it. So, but that doesn't change the fact that no matter what government you live within, things change. So having your own plan in place to protect your family definitely makes a whole lot of sense. Awesome. Alex, thank you. We've covered a lot of ground, and I know that I know you said it feels, pretty basic, but the fact of the matter is that I know that these conversations aren't happening in a lot of families because a lot of adults, a lot of parents are scared of it themselves, or don't, they don't feel like, well, I hardly make any money. What's the point of investing, this, that, and the other thing? And so they're not necessarily passing on that legacy of knowledge, which is where we have to start. So I thank you very deeply for the knowledge that you've shared. You've made it approachable. Also, thank you for being a trusted expert and for being in our network. And thank you for donating your time. For anyone who's interested, if you've got nuggets out of this, the whole point of ParenTween Foundation is to support the families that maybe haven't had these conversations for generations, right? And need a leg up, need support in gaining access, whether it's, a parent coach, a life coach, or a, academic tutor or something like that. So whatever kinds of help we can offer. Alex, thank you for your contribution. I really appreciate you.
Clarissa, what you guys are doing is it goes without saying how important what the role is you guys are trying to fill, especially in a world that we do not focus on. So it has been my absolute pleasure to donate my time here. And,
and one other bit I forgot to mention for folks who are tuning in, we do have a little bit of a friendly challenge going on amongst all of our speakers for Empowerthon, that whichever speaker helps us to generate the largest amount in donations, we will take 20% of whatever they help us to bring in, and we will donate to a family-focused nonprofit of their choice. And so when I asked Alex what organization that was, he said it's Opportunity Village out in Las Vegas, where he resides. Can you tell us a little bit about them so that folks know, if you are the Grand Poobah fundraiser, where 20% of their money is going to go?
Opportunity Village is a special needs focused nonprofit out here in Las Vegas. They do so much for the special needs community, special needs families, with placements and vocations and just lifestyle and coaching. And we don't have enough time to cover everything they do for these families. It's a great organization with a lot of people that just want to give back. So that would be my choice for that 20%.
Awesome. Well, we'll see where we go with it, and we'll keep you posted. So thank you. And thank you to everybody listening in. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.